Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome back to Moonshots and Meatballs. I know it's been more than we want it to be. It's been longer than we wanted, but with being back at school, starting to get exams, we just haven't been able to link up on those times. But I promise you, we're gonna have your baseball fix here. I am guaranteeing you we will get another episode in before the MLB playoffs start. It starts in a week and a half. We will have another episode.
Guaranteed. Lock it in.
Lockers. Hey, Andrew, how have you been, man? How have you been watching baseball as a team that's been kind of out of the playoffs? Have you been just kind of watching other teams? Like, how's it been?
I've been good. The Cubs have been really fun to watch recently. The pitching staff, we've got the third best ERA post All-Star break. A lot of young guys. Albert Adzale is back. Um, Seeing a lot of farm system highlights. That's pretty much been it for me.
I mean, even I watched the Mets farm system highlights, and the Cubs have been a feisty team. A lot of great storylines. Mets, probably that's the last division up. The NL East. Wild card looks pretty much set in the AL. In the NL, it is anything but set. But we're gonna start with what happened last night. Aaron Judge hits his 60th home run of the season, tying the legendary Babe Ruth for that big old 60 mark, because that is a big number. That is the number when it comes to single season home runs that you kind of try to hit, at least. That's the big milestone. What do you think would be a bigger accomplishment? Or would it be the 60 home runs or breaking the record? Or something we haven't seen since probably Miguel Cabrera, very rarely happens as well, is a triple crown, which Aaron Judge is currently leading the league, which, if you don't know, is leading your league, which is the AL, in RBIs, home runs, and batting average, which Judge is currently doing. It is a close race, I will say. Bogarts is, I think, 1 point shy. Arias is 2 points shy on the batting average. That's the one he has to push. He's going to win the RBIs. He's going to win the home runs.
I think personally for me, it's going to be more important if he breaches that Maris record because I mean it's pretty obvious he's not juicing. I mean, although he looks like it, he's stacked. He's
He just
huge,
he's just
literally
like a giant, dude.
chiseled, made out of stone. But being able to cross 60, and if he breaks Maris's record, in my eyes, he is the home run leader, like all time. Because I mean, Bonds, love him to death, best hitter of all time, but he juiced. So, in my opinion, I think that's more important than breaking that triple crown. As much as I love Miguel Cabrera, I think there's been more guys who have done the triple crown. You've got Yaz did it a couple times, but there's not been very many people we've seen crack 60.
No, and I would tend to have to agree with you. Although I will say, I think if he does get the triple crown, it will, and if he does get both, I'll say no. I don't think people will talk enough about the triple crown because of how it is such a big accomplishment. So even if he does, let's say he doesn't get to 62, he's got 15 games. He's gonna have a long time, but hopefully he shouldn't be getting pitches like he did last night in the ninth, which was a straight meatball down the middle.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
mean, so pitchers aren't going to pitch to him probably. They don't want to be the guy that got the ball hit off them for that legendary stat. So even if he just gets the batting or the triple crown, that is huge. That is huge. Like that I haven't seen that. I think I remember that only once in my lifetime. I don't know if it's happened before then in my lifetime since Miguel Cabrera, and it's a big thing. But breaking 60 home runs is probably the biggest thing in baseball. It's what really draws the casual fans to the game. It's what, like, it's the big draw. It's the big thing about baseball. Hitting home runs, just smacking the crap out of a baseball. That's what people love to see. So I think overall it would be the 62 getting to that number. But I'll throw you another wrench. Which are you more invested in? We'll say. Which would you rather see? 62 or 700 from Albert Pujols?
As a Cubs fan, it's really, really tough to love on Albert and want him to see him do all this stuff. But I want to see 700. I want to see it. I don't think we'll ever see it again, maybe in our lifetimes, at least with anybody playing today. Nobody's really at that stage in their career unless somebody just goes on a tear. But seeing 700 would be like, I would remember that for the rest of my life. I might remember this Judge. I'll probably remember this Judge season.
I would
But
say it's pretty close. I would only say 700 because it's just so consistent. I mean, granted, it's almost impossible, even if you're not a great player, to just have one full season and hit 60 plus home runs.
yeah.
But that's one season. This is his entire career. Only 3 people have done it. And I understand not a lot of people have hit 60 home runs either. But 700, just the longevity of it. Just you've hit 7. It's not just one season. It's the entire complexity of your entire MLB career. And to do it, here's a little stat extra. I don't think he's ever hit above 40 home runs.
Really? Let's take a look.
He does it with he's just been so active for so long that he doesn't get he hasn't had that one year where he hits 50 or 55 or 40. He's just been consistent 25 to 35 home runs every single year of his career. That is something that I personally prefer. I'd rather have that than the 45 and then the 15. Just missed consistency, I feel like, is one of the most important things in sports. And I think Albert Pujols defines. All right, he's had a couple seasons. He's never hit 50. My bad. I didn't mean 40. He's never hit 50. And the most of these hit is 47, and he's gotten above the 40 mark 1, 2, 3, 4, 6 times. 7 times. 7 times. Out of how many seasons?
22. Crazy.
22 seasons. So I didn't mean the 40. I meant 50. He's never gotten above 50, which is usually when you think of home run guys, they're hitting 45, 50 every year.
I mean, I think Prince Fielder has a year where he went over 50.
And he was a home run guy, but
but he's not
close. He isn't even close.
Yeah.
Not even close to that. Now, did you see something that irked me about the Aaron Judge home run? Did you see what the guys that caught it gave it up for? Nothing. What are you doing? I looked it up afterwards to see how much that ball is worth, around $150,000.
That's how you pay for college. It was a bunch of kids.
If I got that ball, here's my demands. I'll tell you my demand. You're paying the rest of my college tuition. If I am a Yankees fan, I want season tickets for at least the next 3 years, probably 5. Maybe even life. But that's where you're starting. If you're these are the minimum I'm wanting. At least 3 years. I want at least probably $5 to $7 grand in my pocket. At least. And then I want to be able to meet Judge and the entire Yankees team and blah, blah, blah. And then me personally being what the industry I want you to try to help me find a job.
Yeah.
Puts my resume on some of the front desks. I don't need you to guarantee me a job, but just help me out.
Promote the pod.
Yeah. Stir the pot a bit. But they asked for nothing and they just got some bats in order. And what are you oh my God. I thought it was Ronald Acuña's agent making that kind of agreement.
Well, they said they were for everything he's done for the franchise, he's about to go get paid somewhere else at the end.
He could stay, but he could leave. He's also never won a World Series before. What does he have? One playoff win?
Yeah.
What are you talking about? What he's done? Cheater. You want to talk about even guys like Sabathia probably are bigger.
Speaking of
A-Rod, and that's only the past 20 years I'm talking. That was crazy to me.
I saw a stat. The Bonds record is not out of question for Judge. So his hottest stretch this year, he hit I think it was 14 home runs in about 17 games. And there's 17 games left. He only needs 12 to break Bonds' record all time. So it's not completely out of question.
I just don't
think it's not going to happen. But
pitchers are no way going to be throwing that, though, too. You're going to be throwing him. I've said this the entire season. I don't know why pitchers, everything off the plate. You'd rather walk him than give up a home run. Even if it's You know, it's on. You don't need to intentionally walk him, but nothing over the plate. Not a single pitch to him should be. He should be chasing or he should be on first. There's no reason. There's absolutely no reason to pitch to that guy right now.
No, none at all.
All right. Moving on. Like we just talked about in the beginning of the show, there are 2 more races left, and we'll go to probably the one with a bit more teams, and that is the NL wild card, with the AL being Baltimore. Sadly, 5 games out doesn't look likely. The AL looks set. Chicago's 5.5 out. Losing that last night's game in extras to Cleveland, I think probably sets them in stone. Instead of being 3 games out with another 2 games left in the series, you're 5 games out. I really think that probably is the nail in the coffin for a disappointing White Sox season. But on the NL, you got San Diego, who's now jumped Philly in a game and is a game and a half up on Philly. You have Philly, who's just did they lose both games to Toronto? But they got swept by the Braves. And they have 2-game series versus the Blue Jays. They lost Tuesday.
They've lost their last
5 to 11. They lost 18 to 11. What are they playing? Football? That's almost the same score as the Giants Panthers.
Yeah.
So they have that tonight, and then they play the Braves again for a 4-game series. So they have a tough schedule. And then you got the Brewers, who just did lose 2 of 3 to the Mets, but they just won earlier today, 6-0. And that puts them only 2 games out. Who is going to be the odd team out, Andrew?
I think it's the Brewers. I think, they are historically choke jobs. And Willy Adames is on fire right now. 5 home runs in his last 10 games. Was killing it for my fantasy team until I dropped out of the playoffs. But I think the Phils, I think they'll probably see this Brave series as an opportunity more than a hindrance. If you can get 2 of those games and gain that ground, you're locked in. Schwarber's on fire right now, having a season.
Their offense
40
is
home runs.
smoking hot, but their pitching is terrible right now.
Yeah. I think the Phillies get hot at the right time. The Brewers are hot.
Here's what I'll say about the Brewers. All right, so here's the Philly schedule. Like I said, they got the Braves. They got 1 more game with the Blue Jays, and they play the Braves for 4 games. Phillies are probably hoping for what? Split? Phillies would take that. Then you got the Cubbies. They should win that series. Cubs are. I know you're a Cubs fan. They're a team fighting for a playoff spot against a bottom teller team. They should win that game. Will they? Obviously, that's to be told, but they should. Then they play the Nationals, but then it's not a walk in the park after that. It's they end on the Astros. They play the Nationals twice, and then they end on the Astros, which is huge considering the Brewers have a pretty easy schedule. Now, they play the Reds. Then they have 2 games against the Cardinals. 2 games. Then they play the Marlins, and then they play the Diamondbacks.
That is true, man.
So I think it will come down to that final series. I really do. How well the Philly will the Astros be resting anybody? That's my question, because they have the division locked. They have it locked. They won their division. Are they going to rest somebody for the final series so they can? But they're going to get the bye. So I don't know that if they didn't work if it was like last year, no bye. They probably do rest their starters so they can have them line up against the right guys. But that's not the case right now. And then I haven't talked about them. The Padres, they just beat the Cardinals Tuesday 5-0, or yesterday 5. Yesterday was Tuesday. But they have Cardinals for 2 more at home. Then they're at home versus the Rockies, at home versus the Dodgers. Ooh. Then they have at home versus the White Sox, and then at home. They're home for the rest of the year, by the way. That's and then nice. At home versus the Giants. To me, I crazy enough, I think I'm going to say the Padres don't make it, which would be an utter disappointment after getting Juan Soto and stuff.
I mean, the whole deadline, you gave up everything
You
for
got
him.
what's his name? Brandon Drury. You got guys, and it's just I think that Tatis getting that suspension is going to be a rock tied to the string to the season. It's just pulling them down. And they've been good. They've been up and down, they've been shaky, but they've had some good moments, they've had some bad. But the way that schedule is, I know they're home for the rest of the season. Just that is they have a gauntlet to go through.
Yeah. I think the inner fan in me, I don't really believe in the Padres very much at all. Like I probably believe in the Brewers more than the Padres at this point, but
I
I
just
I
because
want to
I
see
think
playoff Juan Soto so bad
I
again.
agree.
He was electric in that 2019 run.
Here's what as a Mets fan, the one between the Padres, the Phillies, the Brewers. If I had to face one, if I just said I don't which one of these do you not want to face? For me, it's the Padres. We have not played well against the Padres. Manny Machado, Juan Soto, if that pitching rotation gets going, this is a very good team. Jake
Yeah, they're
Cronin, they've
loaded.
had some. This is a very good team, and we just have not played well against the Padres. We've destroyed the Phillies. We just took 2 out of 3 from the Brewers at Brew Crew. I would not want to see the Padres, especially with Juan Soto in the playoffs. Ooh, that scares me. That scares me. And
He's
that should
been
scare
bad
anybody.
though. He's been bad
He
since
has
he joined
not
the
been great.
Padres.
I listen. This new area. Listen, it could take some time. I think next year you'll see in the start of the
Juan
season,
Soto.
you'll
Yeah.
see the real Juan Soto. I think he's never left Washington really. He had this, and at Washington he wasn't having the greatest of season to begin with because he had no protection at all there. At all, he was walking ridiculously, but they weren't throwing him strikes. So how's he supposed to get hit? So. That's my pick, the Padres. But the Phillies, if they get swept by the Braves, I think they're out. I think they got to win at least one, probably 2 of those games. Because if they get swept by them, they can. If they get swept by the Astros, having the Astros as a final series, that is brutal.
You better hope the Phillies don't get in, because if they do, watch out.
I'm not worried. As a Mets
Watch
fan,
out.
we went 14-5 against the Phillies. We tattooed them.
I'm just saying, playoff Schwarber is a very real thing, man.
Oh, but you're gonna take him against playoff Scherzer, playoff DeGrom.
Yeah. Have we seen playoff
Oh, for
DeGrom
3.
very much?
What?
We haven't seen playoff DeGrom very much.
2015, he was lights out.
7 years
Lights
ago.
out. And so it's been a while, but now even better. DeGrom, like that was his like rookie.
Yeah.
That was like young DeGrom. He was a stud. Now it's not long hair DeGrom. It's short hair, Cy Young, 102 mile an hour with a sold out Citi Field. I can't imagine him going anything less than like 7 innings to earn. That's at worst.
I'm
6
excited
innings.
to watch that.
I am so excited. But speaking of the Mets, because they are in probably the last division race with the Braves. I'll give you this. Who do you think wins, and who do you think is more important to win the division?
As much as I hate to say it, I think the Mets pull it out. It's their season, at least their regular season. And I also think it's more important for the Mets to win because they've got an older lineup and an older roster in general. And if you can just conserve those guys, let Scherzer get some rest, let DeGrom get some rest, let the bullpen get some rest, because they're planning for a deep playoff run, so you're gonna need those guys. And if you have them going twice, if you have Scherzer and DeGrom both going twice in the first series, if it goes to 5 or however many games, that hinders the rest of your run.
Definitely, absolutely. I would agree. I mean, you knew I was going to say the Mets. I think the Mets do win this series. I think, as a Mets fan, I think what you're looking for as you go to Oakland now, and you have 2 games against Miami, I believe, and then you play the Braves and then the Nationals. If you can go into that Brave series at least 1 game up in the loss column, I'm not talking 1 game up in the standings, I want one game up in the loss column. I want them to have one more loss than we do. Because while I don't want this to happen, let's say you do lose 2 of 3 to the Braves. You are then tied going into the final series with the tiebreaker while they go play the Marlins, I believe, at Miami, which Marlins aren't great, but that's a good pitching staff, and they could definitely steal one. Versus we go play the Nationals. If you sweep, then you're the division winner. So I do think the Mets ultimately win, and I do think it's definitely more important for the Mets for a couple of reasons. A, Atlanta just won the World Series last year. They know how to do it. They have done it, and they're not going to be afraid of the Dodgers. They beat them last year. That's what they have to go through. They beat them last year. They have no fear of the Dodgers versus the Mets, which they have beat them in the season series. They haven't been to the playoffs since 2016. I'm not saying they are afraid of them, but having that rest, having that we won the division and not having that, oh, we lost, we got the wild card. Oh, now we got to go play this first series, and then we got to go play the Dodgers if we win that. That's a heartbreaker. So for that, A, and B, being able to line up that 1-2 punch of DeGrom and Scherzer for not having them to play the 3-game series, but a 5-game series versus either, most likely, I'll say probably the Cardinals. Probably playing the Cardinals because whoever's the 6th seed, I like the Cardinals in that series. You're probably playing the Cardinals. Cardinals pitching, kind of dicey. They have good pitchers. I mean, Wainwright's is a dog, but he's how old? How long is he gonna go? You can get to Wainwright. You can definitely get Wainwright. Who's your number 2? Is it Montgomery? Is it Manolas or McColas? Excuse me.
McColas has been good.
But when's the last time he started in a big? Has he ever started in a big playoff game?
I don't think so.
So if you're going into it in a series like that, plus their first 2 guys for the Cardinals are gonna play the first 2 games of the wild card series.
Yeah.
You're probably seeing either 4 pitchers number 4 and 1 or 3 and 4, depending on if they win in 2 games or 3 games. So and then they're gonna have to go face those 2, 3, 4, 4, 1 are gonna have to go face DeGrom and Scherzer.
Yeah.
And I like my odds of winning those 2 games. And then you're asking either Bassett, who's a dog, who has an under 4, like a 3.3 ERA, and Walker, who's also a dog, great pitchers. Just one of you go get us a win. You just need one of them.
Even is Carrasco back from the IL?
Carrasco's back, and he's been very good versus under 500 teams and kind of okay versus over 5. But you don't even need him. He's the 5. He's coming out of the pen.
He's got that playoff experience.
Exactly. And he if somebody, let's say Walker only goes 4 innings and gives up 2 or 3 runs. Let's say 4 innings, 2 runs. You have Carrasco come in for 2 innings. You can also go to Tyler McGill, who's back now. You can go to David Peterson, who's now in the pen, and it gives you another lefty option because Joely Rodriguez scares the absolute bejesus out of me when he's coming out of the pen because he's been good of late, but that's kind of my feel of Joely. So moving those guys who have played good role. Also, who's played the long reliever role, who's been great coming in as a starter when need to? Trevor Williams, who was from the Cubs. Yeah. He has what do you think his ERA is?
Is it under 4?
It's under 3.
Oh my God.
It's under 3 for the year. For Trevor Williams, dude had around a 5 ERA last year. This year has been played that long reliever role. When we've been hurt, he makes that rote when you need to go to a bullpen game. He's the one making the start, and he's going 4 or 5 innings. Oh,
that makes sense.
All right, because he just pitched, I believe, yesterday or today, and he gave up a run. He's sitting at 3.01. He's now above. That's phenomenal. That is phenomenal from Trevor Williams, considering last year he sat at where is it? Oh, wrong way on the stat. 4.35 ERA.
Last year, his biggest problem last year, he would run through the lineup the first time, 3 up, 3 down, 3 innings, everything fine. Second time, maybe give up a run, but it's still a quality start. But then that third time through the lineup, he would get obliterated. So I think that long reliever role is really good for him.
He's had 1 year in Pittsburgh where he was a starter and he had a 3.11 ERA. That's the best year he's had before. Besides that, he's been above 4 his entire career. This is by far his best season. And that's just another guy you could put in those middle relief or that middle relief if a guy struggles like a Bassett or Carrasco, because I'm assuming
huge for the playoffs.
huge. And then you don't need to play guys like the Joely, maybe Rodriguez. You don't need, because you're going to have a day off every time. So Edwin Diaz is going to be going. You got Adam Ottavino, who's been fantastic. You're hoping Trevor May continues to be good as he has been the past couple days. Drew Smith had a rough day today, but he just came back from the IL. You have guys. Seth Lugo's been fantastic the second half of the year. You have guys that can come in. So I think it's more important for the Mets, considering the Braves. They got, I think, even though I think Strider's probably your ace now, even though instead of Kyle Wright or
Fried.
Even what? Fried, Max Fried. I think Strider's probably over Max Fried. You're probably your guy, but it's not just you have like these two studs. You have a couple guys. You have Fried, Wright, Strider, and I wouldn't say it matters as much who pitches. You can kind of get what you want from each of those. And Strider's not going deep into games anyway. So I think it's less important for them.
Yeah, I don't think they have this mindset, but I think it would be better for them to not win the division. Because you come off that World Series win, you're feeling good. Did it from the wild card spot last year. Nobody believed in you. If you come in from the wild card again, win that first series, gain a little momentum, people are starting to doubt you because you didn't win the division going against maybe a Dodgers series.
Here's what I'll say. I don't think anybody's doubting the Braves. Even if they don't make the wild card,
if you can create that chip on your own shoulder, I think that the manager, that's bulletin material, man.
I just think if you don't have to face, if you don't have to face the Dodgers or Mets till you fight for the pennant, why would you not want that? If it was, let's say if you were like, for example, the 6, would you rather be the 6 seed or the 5 seed is a good argument instead. I think listen, you're going to try to win your games in the wild card because you just want to make it. Definitely. But like, would you rather go face the Cardinals than go have to face the Mets, maybe? Or would you rather have to go face the other wild card team in the Braves, and then if you're the 5 seed, and then have to go play the Dodgers? Yeah. I'd rather go play the Cardinals and then either the Mets or the Braves, because that seems a lot easier road to me. But you're just trying to get in. But that is probably the better path, in my opinion.
Yeah. I don't think that's what they're aiming for.
Oh, obviously not. You as a wild card, you're just trying to. They're trying to get in.
Turn out better for them.
What?
I think it could turn out better for them.
We'll see. Hopefully, they do get that wild card, and I think either way, we're on both sides. You're gonna have a great matchup on either side. I think you're probably more likely to see the favorites in the NL in the pennant race than the AL. I think if there's going to be some upsets, it'll be on the AL side. I don't trust
the Yankees at all.
Do not trust the Yankees. I trust the Astros. That's the only team I trust in the West. Or not the West, the AL. I think any of the other teams could make a run. I saw a Bleacher Report article that had the Mariners getting to the World Series. I was like, oh, really? Something like that. I was like, or at least to the pennant, I think. I don't remember if they got to the World Series, but at least the pennant. But on the NL, I think it's either Dodgers, Braves, or Mets who are going to the World Series.
Yep.
I don't think it's particularly kind of close by the rest of the other teams. I think it's a big gap with the pitching and the hitting. I just don't think like the Cardinals or any of the wildcard teams have both.
Yeah, I totally agree.
All right, with the season coming to an end, though, awards, baby, they're going to be given out. Is there any chance? Is Judge your MVP? If not, is there any chance you actually think Shohei wins the MVP? And then on the NL side, we'll get to it in a bit, but is it basically Goldschmidt's?
Yeah, the NL Goldschmidt's got that locked up every day of the week, twice on Sundays. Give me Goldschmidt. I'm pretty much feeling the same way about Judge. He's in the huge market. He's doing all this crazy Triple Crown, 60 bombs, and he probably fully deserves. He's going to get the MVP. Like, that's no question.
And the show, I think it's going to be similar to what Vlad Guerrero, the season he had last year. Vlad Guerrero was insane last year. He was ridiculous. But there was Shohei Ohtani, and you just couldn't give the award to Vlad.
I still think, though, that as long as Shohei is an ace on his team and also the best hitter, not like behind Mike Trout, but he's been better than Trout this year. I think you got to give the MVP to that guy. If it's really who's the most valuable to their club, because Shohei has single-handedly won some games this year.
Here's what I'll say, because some people say that the Yankees, I'll throw this out at you. Some say that the Yankees are in first place, so that Judge has brought their team. But here's what I'll say to you. If you switch Ohtani and Judge, are the Angels still exactly where they are? Or are they making the playoffs with Judge?
I think the Angels are exactly where they're at.
Exactly. So I agree. So you cannot tell me he means more to the team, because I think if Ohtani's on the Yankees, they might have a better record. They might not, though. They might not, because because Judge is that entire offense with the home runs. Ohtani's not hitting as nearly as many home runs.
Yeah.
So I think what really solidified it for me was, like we talked about, the 60. That was the mark where it's all right. It's Judge's MVP. It's a lock now. If he got to 58 on the year, 59,
Shohei's got
it would have been dicey. Yeah. I think it would have been pretty close. But with him hitting the 60 mark, I think that's a wrap.
I'm curious. I'm really curious to see how the voters are going to look at it.
I hope it's not like unanimous. I do hope it's not like unanimous. And I do think in the NL, I think Freeman's run away with it. I think Freddie Freeman is probably your second closest, I would say. But if you this is the odds according to 4 days ago. I just looked up an article. Couldn't pull up the odds today on DraftKings because it shut down because of the games. Goldschmidt minus 2,000. Freddie Freeman plus 3,500.
Ooh. Yeah, locked up, mailed in.
So I think Goldschmidt, and this, like we've talked about on this podcast, I think this makes him a lock for the Hall of Fame. Not first ballot. He will not be first ballot. But he will eventually the writers will put this dude in the Hall of Fame. Which is crazy, because if you said 3 to 5 years ago, or before he got traded to when he first got here to the Cardinals, that he's going to make he's going to be in the Hall of Fame, you would
no chance.
I don't think so, my friend. You probably would have said maybe a 25% chance to make the Hall. And now with this career year, I'd say he's probably like a 95% chance to make the Hall. Like a 5% chance to be first ballot.
But he's got like three top 2 finishes in MVP.
We can look that up.
I got it right here.
All right, come on. Let's go to Baseball Reference.
Second. Yeah, this will be his third finish in the top 2 in MVP.
Yeah, so to finally get it's big though to be the one, the one who gets the award. And before we go, the last topic for today, baseball, I think it was a week or 2 ago, they announced that they're gonna have a Gold Glove Utility Award. How do you feel about it? Do you think it's warranted? Do you think it's not?
I think it's well-deserved. I think it comes a little bit past the time of like the guy who this award would probably be named after, Ben Zobrist. Like he would have taken home that award every single year.
I think I think when people think of utility, the people who say this shouldn't be an award, the people who think of utility think of the bench guy who comes on and plays once in a while and just rotates around but doesn't really play that much. That's not with you. There is those types of guys. That's not the utility guy. The utility guy is the guy who plays probably at least 60% of the games, 70%, and plays a multitude of different positions. So this guy needs a rest, or there's an injury, you can fill it. And like the Mets, Luis Guillorme, I think, is probably going to win the Gold Glove in the NL. Or maybe Jeff McNeil. One of those two will probably end up winning it. Maybe Tommy Edman. I think those are going to be the 3 finalists for the Gold Glove for the utility. But those guys all play almost every day. At least this year, Guillorme has played almost every day. But just at different positions, whether it be second, whether it be short, whether it be third, whether it be the outfield, they can move around the diamond and still play very good defense and produce on the offensive side. Those are utility players. It means a completely different meaning than it did 20, 30 years ago.
The best ability you can have in baseball is availability. If you're able to fill a gap in left field one day, second base the next day.
Availability and versatility.
Yep. Exactly.
Huge, absolutely huge. Because when the injuries come, you can keep your best lineup and just move guys around, and it's not as big a deal as, say, for example, when Harper had to go to the DH, that was a problem because you had to put Castellanos in the field, and their defense was a mess. They didn't
Terrible.
have that versatile guy
Yeah.
that can kind of like help change that. They just didn't. So that is what utility guys are allowed to do.
I'm
But
glad we get celebrated.
definitely. I
Finally.
think it's definitely warranted. Only about, I'd say, a week and a half left in this season. So much excitement. I am I am so hyped for some October baseball. Let us know what you think of the awards, the division races. Would you rather see 60 or 62 or 700? You let us know in the YouTube comments. You can get our Twitter will be on the podcast in the description for the podcast. You let us know, and in the YouTube video what your guys thinking. Yeah, well, it's great to be back. Great to be back.
Great to be back.
All right, guys, thank you guys so much for watching and listening. Moonshots and Meatballs. I'm Josh Sharp with Andrew Alt, and I'll see you on the other side.
Love you guys.